What's up, guys? We are headed offshore again today. Guatemala, we're in Pacific Fins. We've got the fleet in front of us, and everybody's kind of doing this U-turn to get through the inlet here. And today we've targeted some waypoints that we want to go check out and build out and see if we can't get into some of the Cabera snappers. I know that there is some groupers down here, and we're kind of doing something a little bit out of the norm for this resort, but they've been just accommodating to help us do what we're hoping to do today, and we're hoping to pave the way for you guys to come out here and enjoy some jigging. So stay tuned, guys. We're about to hit the water.
We're just a few guys that decided to pursue our passion. As we hit destination fishing spots in our local waters out of Pompano Beach, Florida, we want to fill you in on what we have learned along the way.
So the cards were stacked against us on this because the tuna bite was off, and that was really one of the biggest reasons that we brought our slow pitch gear with us and the jigs with us, because we were hoping that we'd run into the spinner dolphin and be able to find the yellowfin tuna underneath them. With the bite off for the yellowfin tuna, we had to go to plan B, and plan B was this. We needed to find some sort of structure, something that would hold grouper, because we knew there was some grouper out there to be caught. We saw it on Blacktip H's video not too long ago where he pulled up a monster grouper, cherna they call it, and we needed to come up with a plan to do that. But what was stacked against us was we're in a fishery that the captains, they go out for sailfish, they go out for mahi, and they're trolling. That's what they do in these waters, and we're not delusional. We know that there is no reef on the Pacific side, so what we needed to find was some sort of drop-offs, or we're looking for artificial reef or sunken ships. Any type of little bit of structure is what we needed to make this a successful day.
Baby, to the camera, camera. Yeah! Aê, Will!
As he's done so many times before, Will breaks the ice for us, and we really needed to show the captain that what we're doing is not completely crazy, because he's never even seen slow pitch jigging before, let alone having someone do it on his boat. So Will hooks up and he brings in a nice Jack Crevalle.
There we go. Here we go! Oh! Got a Jack!
Jack Crevalle. Yeah.
Granted, it's not the fish that we want, but the mates are happy. This is something they like to eat, and they're gonna be able to bring it home with them. Another thing that we had stacked against us was we didn't have a depth finder. There was no transducer on this boat, so we're essentially fishing blind. And the night before, we were sitting down at the dinner table and we are going through our phones, the navionics on our phones. We're throwing all kinds of different overlays on it until we realized that the satellite overlay is the best one, and it's really given us an idea of what's going on out there. And we marked about somewhere around 15 waypoints before we even went out that morning. And as we started heading out, Chris is up top. He's plugging in numbers. You know, he's putting in coordinates of how we're gonna plot out our day. And our plan was to start shallow and work our way out. So after hitting a few spots in the 100 to 120 foot of water area, you know, we got a few of the Jack Crevalles, as well as we got some skipjack tunas, but that wasn't really what we were looking for.
Chris, you making way?
Wow. Big Jack Crevalle.
Big Jack Crevalle. Big Jack.
It didn't feel like we were hitting any type of structure. When our jig would hit the bottom, it felt like sand. So we moved out to another spot in about 160 feet of water, and that's when Will snags up on the bottom. Now normally we would be upset about snagging on the bottom because you're gonna lose a jig, or you gotta move the boat to try and unhook the jig from the bottom. But at this moment, it was time to celebrate, because we knew that we were sitting on structure. Now remember, we don't have a transducer on this boat, so for us to find bottom, That was important. Now we know we're onto something and we got something to build off of. So before we get into these nice groupers, this is the gear that we're using. Will's using the new 6.6 Pandemic Blank, and Chris and I are both using the Pro Jigger Plus prototypes. It's our newest rod. It's the newest line to the Pro Jigger family. What's new about it? It has the quad core technology. In other words, we beefed up the butt section of this rod for pulling monster groupers out of the hole, so you got that little bit of oomph that you need to get them off the bottom and fight the fish. Chris is rocking his OSHA Jigger 2000, and I'm trying out the new Maxell Rage 90. Will's using one of our crew favorites, the Accurate Valiant 500N.
Grouper baby! Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
Was that a snowy?
Is that a snow? I think it's a snowy grouper.
It's a snowy.
Put him down. All right, Captain!
Yeah, Capitan.
Hold that fish up.
Yeah, hold that fish.
Hold that fish up. Hold him up properly. Nice!
Grouper right off the bottom. With the wahoo slayer.
Nice!
Very nice.
Good job, Will. Let go of that hook.
Oh yeah, that's luncheon.
Yes! Now this is delicious fish right here.
Yeah.
Right. Good job, Capt.
We needed that.
We're amped, man. We're like, you know, we came here on a mission, and we know with an incredible pelagic fishery, there's got to be an incredible bottom fishery here as well. It just does not make sense that there wouldn't be grouper and snapper. And from anyone that we talk to in our conversations, yes, there are snapper, and yes, there are grouper. There's just, you know, not many. So leave it to Will Crane again. He hooked up on another fish in this same drop zone, and he pulled up a grouper. And the mates and the captain were pretty excited to see it. It was a little guy, and they were yelling, "Chadana, Chadana," and you know, a grouper comes up, and it had almost the markations of a snowy grouper. You know, we're looking at it, and we're like, "What is this?" The fins were a pink coloration, almost red. Will's like, it's kind of like a cross between a red grouper and a snowy grouper. So we're celebrating, we're excited, you know. Essentially the mission was accomplished, that we at least found and caught a grouper, and we're also going, you know, what the heck is this? And they're here, and let's keep jigging. So we continue to jig on this spot. You know, there was bottom there. We're flying blind without sonar, and we keep jigging, and a few drops later, bam, I hooked up on a good fish.
Fish on? Yeah. Fish on? No, bottom.
And it actually rocked me up. All of a sudden, I'm plugged straight to the bottom, and I really felt strongly that it was a strike of a fish, and now I'm rocked up.
Or it's a grouper that went in a hole. Like a jack.
That jack wouldn't rock you up. Right?
Yeah, that was incredible.
Tell me about it.
Well, it was like
A hit.
bottom, click.
Oh, John's hooked up.
Your fish feels like fish, and then
He's big. In the grand scheme of fish I've been catching on the jig.
And he came out of the hole. We waited.
Let me get it easy.
Maybe good. We hope. Maybe good.
No, I mean, it felt like I was plugged on the bottom, but I also felt like I had a strike right before it happened.
So John's hooked up too. Hold that thought. What's going on, John?
Hooked up, baby. Got plugged on the bottom as well.
Virgin territory here. Chris, you making way?
Yeah. Wow. Big Jack Crevalle.
Big Jack Crevalle. Big Jack. You got a Jack?
I don't know, man. I don't have head shakes, but I do have tug.
He should be giving up by now. Shark?
No, he'll be able to get the chip.
Tiburón?
Group.
Group?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Your Jack said pretty. Your Jack. You must have side hooked him.
This is a grouper. This is a 30-pound grouper.
You must have side hooked him.
It's coming up.
Am I seeing shakes?
Oh, dude. So I went into free spool, right? Captain moved the boat a little bit. I tried it again. I got plugged up. I went into free spool again, and then my jig came free, and I had my jig free. So I jigged it once. I jigged it once, re-dropped it, set up on the bottom, and bam, again.
So it could be anything. I got color. I got color down there. I can't tell.
Come on, grouper. Come on, grouper.
I'm saying it's grouper.
Come on, grouper. Oh, are we whirly birding? Are we spinning?
Do you see any chafing?
Come on, baby.
Be a grouper.
Here it comes.
No grouper.
Come on, grouper.
Come on, grouper. Yeah! Woo! Yeah, baby! Get that grouper. Come on. I love Guatemala.
And we exploded. It was a very exciting moment. It was grouper number 2, and the grouper was bigger, and you know, that felt like just. It felt like an extreme whim, and it was the fish I wanted to see. It was the fish that we wanted to target. It's a beautiful grouper of the same species that Will had just caught moments before. Brown coloration, no spots on this one, but the pinkish red dorsal and anal fins, 10 points, you know, to the spine, and we took a bunch of beautiful pictures with this fish, and you know, there it is, coming to a different country in a new fishery for a fish, a grouper, which is delicious and an amazing game fish that is not largely targeted down here. Flying blind, we found a spot that had groupers. One of what I imagine many spots, but this was our spot for now, and the captain was super excited, and we stayed right there, you know, in that area, dropping our jigs and just exploring. You know, one thing that John always says when we're fishing, you know, we don't leave fish to go find more fish. You know, we found fish here, so we stayed there. And I think I actually turned to John and I'm like, you know, you're up next, and you know it's going to be bigger.
So I dropped down the Gold and Glow Zebra Flatty, and once the boat stops, I drop it straight down, and because of our drift, it actually scopes out way to the left, which is not ideal. This is not what I'm looking for. I like to be straight up and down because that way I have a better connection when I lift the jig and then it flutters down. But I don't know how big this spot is that we're on. I don't know if I'm gonna have much bottom time to be able to hit this spot. So I'm not gonna reel up, I'm not gonna reset. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep this jig down and I'm gonna work it, was my thought process. So I'm gonna start working it back towards me. So what I did was I started moving my rod to the right to try and work the jig towards me and then let it flutter back down. And I've done this many times out on the Yankee Cap. I've done it locally in Pompano Beach, and it works. It definitely works. You know, it keeps, you can stay connected with the bottom, you can work it towards you and let it flutter down. So I'd say once I had about 3 or 4 pulls, and then boom, I was hooked up and I was tight.
Alex, you can come down. You got the camera? Yeah. Here, John, come down.
This is a perfect opportunity to talk about fighting technique. You'll see that I'm not doing any pumping and reeling. I'm not making any quick movements.
How you feel, Johnny? Hooked up, baby.
And really, I'm doing what we like to call around here at Johnny Jigs, the Captain Morgan. It's where you put your foot up on top of the gunnel and you keep steady pressure on the fish with the rod and the reel laying across your leg. And this is an ideal time for me to tell you guys about this. So take a look at this fish coming over the rail and I'll tell you why I'm talking about fighting technique.
John, where are you right now?
Baby, Guatemala. You can see the volcanoes in the background. It's so amazing. I mean, just beautiful. And you get past this brown water and this beautiful blue water. And we got a great captain today, Pacific Fence Resort, that's just putting us on, you know, some structure here in Guatemala, which is kind of out of the norm. And I know we're kind of asked for something different, but Rupa.
Hold on.
Cap?
Nice fish, John.
Damn, bro! I love Guatemala! Big! Barely hooked! Big! Put him on the ground.
Notice that the hook fell out of the fish as soon as he hit the deck. If I was to be pumping and making that jig bounce up and down and the hook move in the fish, what happens is eventually you work a bigger hole in the fish and the hook can come out. And because that hook wasn't super secured in the fish, if I was to be doing all that movement, it definitely would have came out. I landed this fish because I was using a good fighting technique. As if this day couldn't get any better, we are not done here. I decided, let's go for the ultimate Guatemala trifecta. I'm talking about Cherna, Dorado, and Sailfish. Us Florida boys, we call it Mahi Mahi, Grouper, and Sailfish. So we head offshore and we're gonna try and pull this off. So we take rotations on the rods. You know, you have your turn, and once you catch a fish, then the next guy's up. And it's really luck of the draw on who's gonna get the trifecta out there, but I can tell you who pulled it off.
Oh, baby.
I just couldn't let these guys miss another mahi, so I had to jump in there. This rod, make sure the hook was set. Just gonna rope this guy. Oh, thank you. Keep it.
Yeah, good, man.
Leave it up to Will Crane to pull off the ultimate trifecta. He got the Sailfish, he got the Mahi Mahi, and he got the Grouper. I'm talking about, this was probably one of the best days on the water I've ever had, one of the greatest trips I've ever had, and this day really made every penny and every time spent preparing for this trip worth it. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You could also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're also throwing out some TikToks there. And if you want to check out any of the gear that we were using in this video, just go over to JohnnyJigs.com. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.